what we're talking about today.
Well, after our last videos, we had a couple of questions that came through, and I thought we could just go back to basics and say why Footprints is easy for homeschool moms compared to a lot of the other curriculum out there.
Okay, I'll start with my own experience. When I started homeschooling, I was homeschooling my stepdaughter because I had no children of my own yet. And I did start off quite simply with a language arts program and a math program and doing some unit studies for the other subjects. But being a new homeschooler, I went by the book and we did every page in the textbook for 3 years because I was afraid that somebody would come and check up, or that her biological mother might question the choice to homeschool, and we would have to show that we'd done the school thing properly. So in some ways we were doing school at home, and after 3 years she and I were both burnt out. And if I hear the phone calls that we get from other new homeschooling moms, this is a typical scenario. We all start out wanting something that resembles what's familiar to us, textbooks like we had in the school system, but those textbooks become our slave masters, and eventually we are stressed with trying to keep up with them, and we're not enjoying the learning experience. And that was when I started investigating things like Charlotte Mason and literature-based learning and using stories and spending more time doing unit studies. And it was shortly after that you and I connected, and we started doing Footprints. And the reason we created it the way it is because we didn't want moms to go through that same stress as I had experienced.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, we started off with Sunlight using our experience. And so we fell naturally into the reading. But even the program of, well, Sunlight today is very different to Sunlight 20 years ago. But even then, you know, the moment there's that schedule telling you how many pages you have to do every day, you start to try and keep up with the schedule and not with the child. So and I think I've got boxes and boxes still of stuff with books that we just didn't use because, you know, layer it on, make sure that we're covering all those bases. And I think that's a low level anxiety that runs through a lot of homeschool moms is, how do I make sure that I'm doing everything? And then
doing enough.
Yeah, absolutely. How do I know if I'm doing enough? And we tend to measure our homeschooling journey or the homeschooling week by the one bad day instead of looking at all the good days, you know, that we do have. So Footprints, when we started designing that, we knew what we wanted. Like you said before, we wanted a literature-rich program. We knew that we wanted it to focus on South Africa. And we had, you know, through the years, we added 4 kids and you had 6 kids. We knew that we couldn't have all these textbooks for all these grades, for all these different subjects. It was just not a natural way of learning. And I think that we both defaulted to the little house on the prairie, the one-room schoolhouse kind of feel, where everybody could be sitting there and taking in information at their different level of understanding and age.
Yeah, that's the beauty of multi-level homeschooling. When you're using stories as the core of what you're learning about, a story has no age. I've read those Footprint stories 4 times over with my different kids in different age groups. And every time I enjoy them just as much, and I'm an adult. And so with a good story, you can have a 6-year-old enjoying it, an 8-year-old enjoying it, and a 10-year-old enjoying it, even a 14-year-old enjoying that same story. So if you have children that are quite close in age, then something like Footprints works really well. You just need a maths and a language program for each child on their grade level or whatever's age appropriate for them. And the rest they do together, and it really simplifies a mom's life. It makes things much less stressful for her. And there's not extensive lesson planning. You really just open our manual, which is the guide for the parent, and you read what are the ideas and topics and lesson ideas that we've given based on what you're reading in the stories. And any practical activities that we give, because we like to include some hands-on activities or crafts or experiments, they're all done with craft supplies or science supplies that you could easily find at your local supermarket. So it doesn't require you to run to the hardware store and the pharmacy and, you know, specialized suppliers to get these kind of ingredients. It's all stuff you're likely to have in your house, or you can just pick it up the next time you do your shopping.
Correct. And the other thing also is that, you know, parents often get caught up in the whole learning style thing. And while we acknowledge there is such a thing as a learning style, Footprints does tend to cover the whole spectrum of them, because you can so easily, while the children are being read to, which immediately feeds the auditory learner, you know, they can sit and they can color in a picture based on what you're reading. Coloring in pages are free to find on the web, or kids that are hands-on learners, they can be making you know, clay models of what they've learned. They can do the crafts or the hands-on projects that we've allocated while mom is reading. And again, simplifies. We don't have to now think in compartmentalized sort of ages and grades and learning styles by saying, okay, well, my one child's auditory and the other one is kinesthetic, so how do I have two curriculums, etc. Footprints generally covers that. So now here we've got the multi-level homeschooling catered for. We've got the different learning styles catered for. And what mom doesn't just enjoy spending time with her kids, which is one of the reasons we choose to homeschool, and their mom's getting the best of both worlds. So yeah, and I think that's the strength of what literature offers to homeschooling families, as versus sitting filling in textbooks and multiple choices.